Good morning, everybody. Dave Savage, founder of Mortgage Coach. I've got the full Mastermind crew today. We've got Jen Duplessis.
Good
Jen,
morning.
thanks for making time for today.
Of course. Good morning.
Good morning. And we've got Michelle Town, voice from above. She doesn't want to be on video. She wants to tell us why. I'll let her tell us why later. But Michelle, welcome to the call.
Good morning, everyone.
Good. And then I have my partner in crime and co-facilitator of this, Todd Bookspan. Todd, good to have you, brother.
Oh, it's so good to be back after a week off last week celebrating my anniversary in New York. It's good to see all your smiling faces and be back in with the group.
Hey, Todd, it was great to see you and your wife celebrating. How many years was it again? I forgot the year.
28 years.
Good for you.
Yeah. Congratulations. We could probably do a call on that. How do you make 20 years awesome? And then just looking at the pictures you posted on Instagram and Facebook, it looks like you guys did it right.
We did. It was a great day. So, but excited to be back here with all of you. I was, it's always funny when I miss a Friday. I actually feel like I'm missing part of my soul. So it's good to see your guys' smiling faces. Too bad I can't see the rest of the attendees as well.
Yeah. So it's Good Friday today. So there was a thought like, hey, should we not do today's call? But this crew is committed to leadership, and we're committed to masterminding. And so showing up, even if it's going to be less than 100 people, we're here. And so far, there is less than 100, but there's still a pretty good number of folks on this call. And just gauging for the numbers, we'll definitely end up over 50 of America's best loan officers getting together to learn from each other. So I want to remind everybody that, it's a mastermind. So if you have a question, raise your hand and go to webinar, and we will unmute you and bring you into the conversation. Question or comment. I want to remind everybody that, it's an expectation that you are a member of our Facebook group, which is Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. So that is something that kind of connects to this live call that we do every Friday. And then, Todd, if you wouldn't mind pulling up our Facebook group right now. And one of the things when this group was getting together, we said, hey, what are the topics we should start the conversation around? And one of the ideas we had was, let's start it around the question that got the most comments this week. And by the way, there were a lot of good questions this week. There was a lot of tremendous engagement from the Mortgage Coach community. But one post from Eddie, and Eddie, by the way, I actually pinged Eddie about an hour ago saying, hey, are you going to be on this call? Because we're going to be, talking about your topic. I want to see if Eddie is here yet. Eddie, by the way, if you could raise your hand if you're in a place where there you are. I found you. Eddie, I am going to unmute you just because it would be great to, we got your question up, but we'd also love to hear from you. Eddie, you've been unmuted. Are you available to talk?
I am.
All right. So Eddie, first of all, great job at asking a great question. I don't think you're the only originator that has questions like this one. So maybe that's why it got, how many comments did it get? It got a lot of comments.
I think it's close to 30 now. We're at 30.
Yeah. Got a lot of likes, got a lot of comments. And then I personally thought the comments were really well thought out. What was your take? Did it meet your expectations when you reached out to the community? Did you get what you wanted out of this question?
Yeah, I totally did. There's a lot of good feedback. I was very happy to see the outcome.
Good. Was there a comment or a couple comments, some advice that you thought was better than others or more actionable for you that just connected to you? It'd be great to know what you pulled out of this.
Yeah, let me go. I'm gonna pull it up too so I can see it on my computer. Sorry.
No problem.
There was a specific comment that I liked a lot, and I wanted to find it.
Okay. And also, while you're looking that up, I don't know exactly your Mortgage Coach backstory, but are you an active user of Mortgage Coach? And if so, how are you using Mortgage Coach in the market today?
Yes, I am active. I use a total cost analysis for every client that I have, and I also use them for the realtors I do work with. I do the open house flyer for them. And I just recently ordered a stand for my iPad on Amazon that I'm going to utilize TC or total cost analysis for, and then also it's going to have the open house flyers, of course, on them.
Right on, right on. Well, great job. It looks like you're definitely leveraging the community to upgrade some of your tactics, strategies, and upgrade some of your skills. Anyways, I'll go back to you. And then, by the way, I want to go to, because I know Todd has read this post, and I want to see what Todd pulled out of it that he thought we should really put a megaphone on. And Jen, I'd love to do the same with you. And Michelle, I don't know. I know you've been out and about. I don't know if you've seen the post, but if you do, you'll have a chance to weigh in on this. But Eddie, any comments you want to shine a light on before I have the coaches take a round on this? Or a question, you know, you've got all these coaches and mentors on the call. Do you have a question for us that about a comment or something that wasn't put in? Any questions?
No, you know what? Actually, Dave, you sent over some YouTube videos that I actually watched, and I appreciated that greatly. It's kind of nice to see what Jeremy Forcier does, and I liked, Tim Brahim. He had some awesome advice, and I'm actually in the process still finishing watching those videos. I even though I need more relationships with realtors, my goal is to get to a point where I was back in my WAMU days. I'm actually going to say it. I've got like 5 realtors that constantly work with me for the last 20 years. Back in my WAMU days, I had 25. And the market fell apart and they went out of business. And I lived off my database. I have a large database. I didn't have to rely on the purchase business as much because I was plenty busy. And in the last 3 years, the market, everything's totally shifted. And my database has been refinanced into the 3s, very low 4s. And I need more purchase business. And, you know, I have pretty high goals for myself, and I'm a perfectionist. And I want to, you know, my why basically is to support my kids, my family, and I have a passion for this business. I love doing what I do. That's why I've been doing it for 24 years. And I think maybe I just need to figure out how to evolve a little bit and figure out what exactly I'm doing wrong where I can't connect with realtors like the way I want to.
Well, I'll tell you, I think you're not the only professional that's been doing this for a long time that has a lot of past customers, but does feel like they need to reinvent themselves. And then I also think the way we bring leadership to you and help you, it's on point for the new originator that's been in the business for less than 2 years. So I think that's a great job of setting the table, Eddie. And I'm going to go around to the coaches and get feedback. Todd, if you could just go through the comments real quick before I throw it to you and the coaches for feedback. But Eddie, I think you set that up nicely. But it slow down real quick. So you'll notice, anybody that hasn't seen this, I highly recommend that you go through and you look at this thread, because it's a great question that I think a lot of originators could share. I think there were some good scripts given by loan officers. Like I didn't see any bad advice here, or I would call it out. I think it was a lot of good advice. And then I do think, you know, you called out the video from Jeremy, his 5 questions. I mean, to me, that's an all-time greatest hits for Mortgage Coach. You know, how the 5 questions Jeremy asked at meetings. I think, you know, the Tim Brahim videos in the scripts are like all-time greatest hits. I don't think I put it in your in here, but I interviewed Tim just a week ago on when he meets with the borrower, what he says to set up the next deal with them to like really maximize your database. Tremendous script. I mean, it's a script that I think every mortgage advisor that wants to really optimize their success, you should listen to that interview. I'm going to actually, transcribe it, make an article out of it, and really nail it so that you guys have it as a tool in my LinkedIn articles, you know, so stay tuned for that. So Eddie, I'm going to keep you unmuted, and then I'm going to go around the coaches, see if they have a round of feedback for you and interact with you. And, you know, this might last for 10 minutes. It might last for 20 or 30, and then we'll hit some other topics. And then reminder to everybody, if you have a question or a topic for today, after we get done going around on this one, we will look for some more topics from the coaches in the community. So Todd, you want to take the first round?
Sure, I'd love to. I highlighted a few of them, but there's always a lot of conversation in this group around how do you identify agents. And Joe Long sort of started a thread in there where he was talking about, there's a couple of ways to do it. There's a couple of programs out there. If you search it in the Facebook group under MTA, I think you can find some different threads on different things that people are using. But for me, I always use Broker Metrics, which is the one that's mentioned in there, where I've got a buddy of mine who's a recruiter, owns some RE/MAX offices, and he's allowed me to use his login. I don't think I should probably say that on video, but I've been able to use his and search agents and see what their production is over a period of time. So find someone who's got data like that. Someone else mentioned title reps, but I think the biggest thing is you have to identify who is your right agent. So, one of the things that Darren Hardy said when I went to his high performance forum is he said, who's your avatar? Like, who's your target customer? And in this case, I think you have to make an avatar of who's your agent. So like Eddie's saying, he's got 5 agents who he's worked with for 20 years. Like, that's probably the start of your avatar. Like, be thinking through, what are their interests? What are their hobbies? Do they have kids? Because what I found was when I was originating, I identified the agents who I wanted to hang out with. And those are the agents that I went after. My cousin is in town, and he's a realtor, he and his wife in Houston, Texas. And he was telling me how he had this loan officer who was coming after him because my cousin pretty much posts almost only about drinking beer. He's a craft beer snob, and this guy's going to he wants my cousin to co-host with him a craft beer night. And my cousin's like, well, I've got my loan officer I'm loyal to. And I said, well, hey, have you ever thought about the fact that maybe this mortgage loan officer can bring other people into that group, that you guys can carve out a craft beer following that you can hit up? Because he said his wife was giving him a hard time about the money he spent on craft beer, and finally realized that all of his posting online and creating this commentary around it, they just closed their first deal this month with someone who he met online who's another beer enthusiast like him. So what is that avatar? Who should you be going after? Go after people that you like first and foremost, because that's really how you're going to get it. And I guess the second one is I'll just sneak over that and then I'll hand it off to Jen. But then find out who might give you a warm intro. I was talking to a buddy of mine who originates out in California, and he said he had gone to an event where there was realtors there, and he reconnected with someone he had known before. And then that gentleman said, hey, get together with me, and I'll introduce you to some other people in my office. This gentleman's a number 2 person in an office and has some leadership in there. And so be thinking about who is it then that knows the people that you want to meet as well, and see how you can lean on them. So that sort of was probably my top 2 points. What about you, Jen? What were your takeaways, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think, I think all of the comments are good. I would say yes to everything, right? Absolutely. I guess I was looking at some of Eddie, some of your responses. I think that I have a couple different things to say. I think that now, and look, I just celebrated 35 years in lending. I've been in for a really long time, but I don't even use my tenure anymore as a lead item, other than, yep, I've seen up and down and all around, right? So I don't even think that that's so much of an important issue anymore for people, as it is, what can you do for me? What with them? What's in it for me? What's in it for me in this relationship? And so the value that we bring, or the, what we can offer to these realtors, I think is really key, because they're all struggling too because of low inventory, around most of the nation. And so we have to really become a partner to them. And it's about developing a real strong partnership. And Todd, maybe you can put my video from a couple weeks ago up there, because I don't know how to bring something in from YouTube into Facebook. But I had talked about this as well. And even Michelle, I think you had a couple weeks ago, you were talking about the 1 or 2 mile area around, where your office is, and how, identifying realtors in that area based on volume, based on personality, etc. So I think less is more. it's not that we need droves and droves and droves of people. We just need a handful of people, and really being selective in that. Now, I understand the sense of urgency, certainly. So there's a couple things I would say. One is, just reiterating what I've seen here, warm introductions to people, to realtors, rather than any cold calling. And I'm assuming that that's what you're doing based on some of the comment or the original comment. It might not be, but warm introductions. Yes, going back to open house and broker opens, I'm seeing a lot of people starting to do more of that. Networking with other people that network with realtors. Go where the realtors are. Go to their classes in the local association. Attend the classes. Get to know them. Get to meet them. Remember, they know what you do, but they don't know who you are. So you need opportunities to get with them. The meeting follow-up. We talked, there was a comment in there about having a meeting follow-up. I have a 120-day follow-up from meetings that helps them understand who I am and what I can do for them. 120 days of different, it's 12 activities, 10 days apart, okay? 12 different things that I do over the course of that 120 days after meeting with them to ensure that I'm showing them what I can do for them, what value I'm giving them. And then certainly all these loans that you've done, and you had this big database of them, I would be contacting everybody in that database, all the realtors, the listing side, the buying side, and just saying, hey, look, I'm doing some spring cleaning, or, this year, I'm one of the things I wanted to do is reach out to you. We worked together last year on several, this loan or that loan. I wanted to get with you and just see how your year is going, and see if we can't rekindle and restart our relationship. I think you all know that, Tim was my coach, and the best script is always the truth. And so instead of worrying about what to say, just say it from your heart, that, hey, look, I've been remiss. I forgot to call you last year. I didn't even think about calling you. And, we had a great time together. Let's work together. So those are some of the things that I wanted to say. But, I just wanted to say, I really appreciate how vulnerable you've made yourself. I think that's unbelievable, because so many people are struggling right now. And, I think it's wonderful that you made yourself vulnerable to open this up for the whole community, because I know everybody listening in has this challenge to one extent or another. And so thank you for doing that, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Jen, that was cool that you said that. And Eddie, I do think that's one of the things why you got so much play is that you were just so transparent. Hey, guys, I'm having this problem. And then, by the way, we all connected with that. Like, that's why you got a lot of comments. That's why you got a lot of feedback. So, reminder to everybody on this call, this community is only as great as what you invest in it. And whether that's putting yourself out there and asking a question, or whether that's taking 5-10 minutes and commenting, giving back. So, hey, Eddie, I did want to say a few things, and I also want to give Michelle a chance. But before I did that, I just wanted to see if you had a question, or you wanted to get a little more from Todd or Jen before we just power through. Anything come to mind from what's been said so far?
No, I appreciate both their comments, and I do my best to befriend every realtor I want to work with, and that's why I think I've got the 5 that I work with now. I consider them like best friends, like brothers and sisters, and I want to grow on that. Obviously, I want to create more friendships like that, and I'm just finding it very difficult in this market to do that. And I just gotta, I have another program I work with called List Reports, and it's a great co-marketing thing that I do. And I send these invites out to different realtors I want to work with, and I follow up with a call, and I explain to them how this awesome program works for them, benefits them, helps them create buyer leads, and ask them a little bit about themselves, what their goals are, tell them a little bit about myself, and then I probably get 2 yeses out of 10 that I send out, but nothing's really transpired from that yet. I just started that probably about 2 months ago too. So I haven't really given it a lot of time, but I just got a response this morning from one that I sent an invite to, and she says, I'm fine, no thank you.
So can I comment on that?
That's somebody that I've known for a while.
Could I comment on that? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
turn on your video.
yeah, let me get my video back. I don't even know if I'm on video. I can't see it. So, okay, can you see this? Can you see this? It says Business Booster.
We see it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So one of the things that I use list reports as well, but I don't use it as a lead. I don't use it as a leader into a relationship. I use it as a icing on the cake for the relationship, you know, just better piece of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this handout that I've made for this realtor. So now I only do this with realtors I've met. So hopefully you can see this. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm showing the real estate agents that I have meetings with, right, that I want to work with, that I have buyer boosters, seller boosters, and partnership boosters. So I'm going to help boost our relationship, boost seller activities with you, and boost buyer activities with you. And literally after I talk with them, they go through and they check this off and decide, this is what's so funny. Bear with me. So I got this one back from a realtor today, and she checked every single thing off. Everything. She wants to work with me on every facet, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm showing value in different areas that are specific for what the real estate agent is looking for. So if they're having some issues with listings, I'm going to help them boost their listings. If they're having issues with leads, I'm going to help them boost their leads by doing partnership activities with them. It just so happens that list reports in the seller booster. I don't lead with the seller with list reports as a means to create a relationship. That's only something someone gets if they decide they want to work with me, and it's something I'll provide to them. So rather than casting a big net out there with listing boosters, if you can find a way to, if you're able to meet with them and be introduced to them, then that's one of the things that the items of value that you're giving to them is saying, here's what I can do for you, you know, because again, they want to know what's in it for me, not, hey, I have all this technology that I'm going to give you. So when we meet with them, then we show them a total cost analysis. When we meet with them, then we show them, you know, cost of waiting, if that is their issue with buyers, you know, that they can't get people off the fence. So it's a tool, but what's happening is the tool is being given to them before we even have a relationship to know what tools they need. Does that make sense? I think it would be more powerful if you did that with people that you're meeting with. Kind of hold it back a little bit. And then when you meet with them, say, hey, I've got this tool based on what you just said. So I just wanted to throw that out too, is because I have, you know, I got a branch, I've got loan officers in here and stuff. And you know, they're all doing what you just said. They're just sending out the emails, following up phone calls. They're getting a little bit of a hit on things, but really now you become their beck and call person, because the only time that they're going to work with you is when they need one of the forms from list reports, you know. So I would just be careful. Reports is fantastic. I use it all the time. I would just be careful not to be providing them so much information up front that they don't have a reason to meet with you and find out who you are, so you can develop that strong relationship you have with the people that you already have now, and how you love that relationship.
So I want to say two things here. So
advice.
I think, yeah, first of all, it's massive advice, because one of the things, the way you're doing it, you're sending them a tactic and a strategy, and they're saying yes or no to your tactic or strategy before you've even uncovered your pain. You know, so what Jen is saying here is super smart. And by the way, I did an interview on Tuesday with Rick Shear, $100 million producer, Andy Tuttle, mega producer, and it was called How to Become the Digital Mayor in Your Market. And Rick Shear, as part of the conversation, was saying how he, when he meets with a realtor, how he's mining for value. Because by the way, I mean, loyalty is dead, value is everything. And that was said by, I think, Stu Sweet, the interview I did with Stu Sweet recently, where, you know, he's in Berkeley, California, high-tech environment. He specializes in working with online buyers and online realtors. By the way, Jen, if you could stay on the video, cause I want to riff with you real quick here.
Okay.
But huge interview, and it's just, if you can compete in Berkeley with online buyers and online realtors, and you come at it from this perspective that loyalty is dead and values everything, you can compete in any market. And so Jen, I want to ask you, put you on the spot here. I would love to showcase you on a Tuesday call, and really we'll call, I'm just making up a headline here, how to package your value. And then when you meet with a realtor, identify what's valuable to them. Obviously, this is not the headline, this is more of it, but we just drill down on that. Would you be up for just dedicating one of our Tuesday interviews? I might invite another top producer to join it, but are you game for that, Jen?
Of course I know that.
Okay, because that's a whole hour. I don't want to try to fit that into 5 minutes today, but I do think, Eddie, as a coach, I think you need to get meetings. By the way, I thought Jen's whole point around leveraging your past customer database, like get meetings, like if you made your number one priority that I'm going to get meetings with people where I am endorsed, like whether it was a past customer or a realtor, I am going to, for the next 30 days, every person I meet with, I have at least one or two people that will endorse me. They'll say, Dave Savage is great. You can trust him. You can like him. And those were the meetings you got. And by the way, and they were meeting you because of those endorsements. And now you show up in those meetings to look for the pain. Where can I solve problems? Where am I strong and they're weak? Just think about that. I mean, I'm not saying that should be your number one priority because I haven't audited your practices enough to say that's what you should do. But maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. And then, Todd, I know you flipped on the video, so did you have something you want to add to this dialogue? And then, by the way, Michelle, you're going to get your turn. 5 minutes. Be ready to go.
You guys kind of took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I was just really thinking through the fact that, I actually love the fact if you're truly getting 20% of the people to actually respond without you really connecting with them. But I do think what Jen said is right. Your whole goal is to get the meeting, determine what the need is, and then fill the need with whatever tool in your toolbox that you've got. And so that's, great opportunity. I was trying to think back. So Jen talked about the call that she and I did, which I think was a great call on Realtors and this type of topic. So we'll make sure we post that in the group. And then I did a call, I think it was January 2nd or 4th. It was the first call of the year on a Tuesday where I talked through the reciprocity piece of getting to meet with realtors. The other thing that my buddy Steve out in California said was he had gone. So Jen said earlier, right, show up where the realtors are. So he had showed up at a ninja training, ran into someone he knew, but he said it still took him 6 phone calls to get the guy to actually answer the phone. And I said, well, what made the difference? And he said, well, I called. He said, first off, I had a system. I called him every week. And then he said, finally, I realized midway through, even though I knew the guy, he goes, I didn't think I had to do it, but he sent him a gift. And then, of course, when the guy answers phone's like, I'm so sorry, I haven't answered your call and followed back up with you. And so I do think that the reciprocity thing works. And so I talk in that January call about the gifting piece and the book piece, and don't overlook that as, even though it's been around for a long time, I know it still works. I've got clients that are using that and using it really effectively. And so don't be afraid to try something like that, because then they feel a little bit guilted because of the reciprocity piece. So that was really kind of my only other 2 cents. I know we talked about Michelle, who's there, the voice off in the side. Michelle, any thoughts that you want to add?
Well, it's a great topic, and I God, both of you brought in some great information, and I agree. The sending out the list reports to everybody, I mean, you're tipping your hat already with something that you're going to be able to offer them. But the fact that you got 2 people to respond out of 10, that's for an online presence with no relationship with the person, that's actually really good. So don't discount that. I wanted to go back. I wrote some notes here. Sorry, my brain stopped. This is what happens when you come home at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was at Universal Studios all day yesterday, so.
And now we know, and now why we know why
Now
you
we
went
know.
on video.
Now we know.
Yeah, now we know.
Yeah, now you know. No, I wasn't out rocking it out. I was rocking it out with 4 teenagers. So they took it all out of me. So the first thing I would say is, I know you have 5 realtors that you work with, which are amazing. That is a great base. I have like 10 to 12 that are like my rock solid A+ realtors. And then I have, we talked about this before in all our calls. We have our B realtors and our C realtors, and it's all about, following through. But have you gone back to your database on the loans that you've closed in the last probably 2 years will probably be relevant, and actually gone and made a list of your realtors you closed with and then the listing agents on the side? And that's where I would start. If I was going to send out those list reports, that's where I would start. I would say, hey, I worked with you on this transaction, so it's relevant to them, and then do that, and then follow up with your 120-day campaign or 90-day campaign, whatever it is, and don't stop. You have to be consistent. Something that I wanted to bring up, which is, this is Darren Hardy really helped us start this, and he had Jen, I'm going to forget this, so you might have to jump in. I think it was a week ago, Thursday, he spoke about why the great people are great. And it's not what you would think. The great people aren't great because we're great. The great people are great because we put one foot in front of the other and keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over until the results come in. And that is one thing that I think that a lot of people right now, because the inventory is so split, at least here in California, and because we've mined our database, rates are up, they're up 0.5%. So going back and bringing value to our past clients, it's not just about the rate. That's not what I sell to my clients. It's about everything. I mean, I stay in contact with them regardless that rates are going up. I talk about what value they've got. Look at their rate of return that they've gotten on their investment. Congratulations. Please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. That is something. It is a system. It is in place. It is rock solid. I do not deviate from it. And it's a lot of boring work. But it brings the results.
So I want to say a couple of things here, because I think this is huge. First of all, I hope everybody heard that. Like, if you've been in the business for any period of time, are you clear on who you did a transaction with within the past two years? Are you clear with the agents? Who were the agents that were part of that transaction? By the way, if it was not a good transaction, maybe we take that agent off the list. But think of all the people that you've touched in a positive way, all the 5-star reviews that you've gotten in the past 2 years, agents, families, and are you following up with them in a deep, meaningful, stealing from my interview with Tim Brahim recently, where it's all about connection. Like when I did that interview with Tim around the 9 prospecting habits of the best. And it started with connection, because, that's the other thing that, when I've interviewed top producers, and I've interviewed hundreds of them, they all just connect, so that's the other thing is, like, really audit, because let's face it, people, you're stressed out. Some of the things you are doing are not working. Are you clear on the things you're going to do? And when you do show up with that realtor, and when you do show up with that family, are you present, And so, I think that's great. So hopefully, I do have an ask for you, Michelle. If you will, just so everybody, even if they're not on this call, they get that wisdom of get clear on it, the 2 years realtors. Will you post a comment in Eddie's Facebook? And then Jen, I have the same ask for you, knowing some of the wisdom you shared. If you guys could both add to that string, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but if you want to share a picture or a PDF of your buyer book, I'll leave it to you whether you want to do that or not, Jen. But I've seen a few questions, and I know people would love to see that in a little more tangible way.
Okay.
So I think one thing I love what Michelle said, Dave, if I can jump in. My last point was the persistence piece. I think people are kind of hoping that if you meet with a realtor once, they're going to start piling business on. I mean, it really is a long game, right? So again, my example I gave of Steve, I mean, it took him 6 weeks of following up with this guy who committed to him face-to-face to have a meeting to actually get the meeting. And the funny part was he texted me yesterday because I talked to him when he was waiting for the guy to show up. And he said it was a great bromance, and the guy was sending him a client at 4:30 for a consultation. So that was a great result. That's not the normal thing, but it is a long game, right? I mean, my team has a builder that we've been working with for, I guess, a year and a half. Took 3.5 years for me to get that relationship of following up and getting together with the decision maker there. And I didn't necessarily think it was ever going to happen, but 3.5 years of persistence. So I think that's the other part of it is you have to be patient and you have to keep loving on these people over time. I think what they expect is what most loan officers do. Call them once, never call again, which is what they hope for. And then, if you're the person who calls over 6 weeks, then they're going to be like, okay, this loan officer is different. And then you have an opportunity potentially to still get in front of them. And, and I've heard even Tim Brahim before said it took him, I think, a year and a half to get his best relationship he ever had. And so it's that, are you willing to do the long game to get these people? Because they have a lender. We know that. They don't have a need for you today. And so I think that just be okay with it taking a while. But if the person's worth pursuing, then they're worth pursuing for the long term, not just for today.
Love it. So first of all, I think we've given, go ahead.
Yeah.
Turn on your video, Jeff.
I was just going to add to that, one of the things that I'm just recommending that everyone here is be careful about is that effectiveness or efficiency with a system is not always effective, okay? And what I mean by that is, yes, you need to have a system, and I have a system. It's consistent. I do it all. Here, let me get on video, sorry. Sorry about that. I have a consistent system. I do the exact same thing every single time, but let me paraphrase and let you know what that means is that maybe on day 10, and I don't know it all offhand, right? Because my system tells me what to do that I built. But at day 10, it's a phone call, okay? And what I want to make sure you understand is if at day 10, it's a phone call, and day 20, it's send a book, and day 30, it's pop by their office, day 40, it's send them a success story. You want to make sure that the effectiveness or the efficiency is being done, but in order to be effective, you have to listen, and we talked about this in that video that you and I did a few weeks ago, is that you have to listen, not hear, but listen to what their concerns are. So don't send a book that you like, send a book that will help their business based on the meeting you had. Don't call them and ask, so how are your listings going, when they're a buying agent? Don't pop by or send a success story about a first-time home buyer if they're a listing agent, right? So be efficient, but be effective by listening to what their needs are and concerns, and then send that information. And so part of that 120 days includes a total cost analysis, but it only includes a total cost analysis that is specific for what their needs, challenges, or goals are, right? So make sure you're being effective or efficient, but very effective so their experience is unique to them.
Yeah, no, and think about that. I've done a lot of talking about the challenger sale, and the challenger sale is tailor, teach, control, and so everything has to be tailored. I listened to you, I studied you, I'm teaching you, or I'm a leader that will take care of something for you, and then control. I show up as a leader. I'm not afraid of a little constructive tension, and I control the relationship. So tailor, teach, control. So, hey, Eddie, I had planned to talk for like 10 to 20 minutes on this, but obviously we all had a lot to say. Is there any questions you have, or is there anything that stood out that might be particularly helpful to you?
Everything is helpful. A lot of good advice. I think the part that I really struggle with is me actually showing my value. I know I have a lot of value, but everybody in my industry, they do a lot of us do broker opens. We go network with the realtors. There's a new membership here in Napa Valley that you can actually, it's the Kitchen Collective. You can go and invite your realtors or your clients, and it's a cooking experience. You can actually go in and cook your own meal and spend time together and meet or have a party or what have you. But a lot of these realtors are networking through this membership. I even do that. And so does a lot of the other agents here in town. And the Napa is not any different than anywhere else. There's a lot of competition here, and there's very little on the market. And so I think I'm struggling showing my value, how to separate myself so I show that I stand out more than some other lender or someone else does. When it's just trying to figure that out has been a challenge, because if everybody's doing it, what do you do to make yourself show more value?
I don't do everything everybody else does. I can tell you right now, I don't do broker open and open houses. But that's why I said all of these are good ideas, but you have to try them. Everything I do is one-on-one. With this booster program, I have realtors in my office all the time, and I am coaching and training them, and we are strategizing on open houses. We are, not open houses, housewarming parties. We're strategizing on home buyer, my home buyer club. We're strategizing on a mailing campaign, to help get them more listings, to help get them more buyers. I have something called Getting Real with Realtors. It's a little, in fact, I just posted it on my Facebook page so you guys can see it. It was my first interview with one of the realtors. So I'm doing this Getting Real with Realtors internet video, to highlight them. And, everything I'm doing is to help propel their business, and mine goes with it.
Hey, real quick, by the way, I want to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes, and then Maria, I'm going to unmute you because we have some questions or comments from the audience. But I think we've shared a lot of ideas, and I'm not opposed to throwing more ideas into this. But and by the way, there is no magic pill. There's not like one idea, one strategy. So let's keep that in mind. Michelle, did you have something you wanted to say before Jen talked? She had something she wanted to say.
I did. I have two things. One is, Eddie, find your niche. Really, my niche is I'm out of the box. I'm not going to compete with big banks. I'm not going to. I will not be successful at that. So I have found my niche. I'm out of the box. I'm cross collateral. I'm, showing people how they can buy a house. Right now, I adapted to the environment, which is we don't have inventory. People don't want to sell their houses. So we sell the cross collaterals, or we get them entertained with what happens if we could show you how you could buy a house right now and not have to sell your house. That's our tagline that we get in the door with our realtors, and it works for listing and buying agents. But the other thing that I wanted to go back to, when you go back to that 2 years of realtors that you have, and something that I know a lot of people don't do, and Jen will love this because it's the phone call that I always say, I know you weren't expecting to hear from me, but I just did a review for you on LinkedIn. I apologize it took me so long. Is there another place that you advertise on, or that you're known on, that I could also put your review on? What a great job you did on this sale. So boom, there, as in Dave's words, there you go. There's your open door. You've just done something for them, brought them value. You've boosted their online presence immediately because it's a brand new review for them. And at least it's an attention getter, so maybe it'll get your foot in the door a little faster.
Boom, a great idea. And really appreciate that, Michelle. Feel free to include that as a comment for anybody that missed it. Maria, I have unmuted you. I don't know if you had a question or a comment, Maria.
Yeah, hi. Thank you guys. This was a really, really good topic. So yes, thanks, Eddie, for bringing this up. Because a little bit different is that I came from being in a call center to now doing self-sourcing, and I'm about maybe 7 months into it, and it was a really big curve. And these are really, I have to tell you guys, all of the things that you were saying, I've literally been implementing, and it's just what works for me. I think I've forced so many things. Luckily, I have, a really big top producer that mentors me right now, and it helps. But even this mortgage coach, just joining it the past few weeks, has been huge. It's like literally having him every week. And I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is kind of what was just said was, you're the only one that knows why you're valuable. And each person is completely like a model match for each agent. And I always want to, I think the best analogy is kind of like dating, like there's all these people, there's all these agents, but each LO is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to work better with another. And the way that you bring value is, I really do think, is really be true to what you bring as an LO, and then maybe put that on a piece of paper, like, hey, these are the things I bring, just kind of like what was done. And it's really, really worked for me. You know, I think at one point I got really upset when I wouldn't, you know, be able to get certain personality types on certain agents. But you know what? When I finally just really hunkered down and figured out what the values are that I think I do well with, those, and I was consistent. Being in front of agents, being at places that were there, and then just seeing me interact with other agents, other people meeting me, it was just a natural conversation that I think happened, just attracted me to be able to get these one-on-ones and, you know, getting them to actually meet. And then the second time even, and it's like really digging in and seeing the difference, leveraging even. Having your 5 agents, I think, too. Oh, maybe one of them has a buyer, and then you go to these events, and it's like you find this house maybe in an area that you remember you're one of your 5 agents with, and saying, hey, you know what, let's talk. I have a buyer that I think might be good for it. So I think even leveraging the agents that you have in a way that help to even showcase your value honestly has helped me to be able to finally get that appointment with someone that, you know, that I've been chasing down for weeks. So I think, I don't know if that's going to help you, but definitely the consistency, and I think the leveraging on the ones that you do have, or even relationships that you do have, like title reps and things like that, will definitely, I think, boost and make it so much easier to feel like you can be confident in showcasing your value, if that makes sense.
It does. And Maria, thanks for raising your hand, sharing some feedback to this conversation, and it's great to have you in the community. Hopefully you continue to, you know, ask questions, comment, and jump in anytime. Thank you. All right. Hey, Maria, anything else before I put you back on mute?
No, but thank you guys so much. And I hope that helped.
We'll keep showing it. Oh, Maria, I muted you 1 second too soon, but thank you. And then Eddie, I'm going to unmute you one last chance. Any other questions or any other color before we wrap it up and spend the last 12 minutes talking about some other topics?
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention some of the things that I do, and I'd like the feedback on that. I created a group in Facebook. Used to be Napa Realtors, and the Association of Realtors got on to me about that name, and so I had to change it recently to Napa Real Estate. I have about 100 agents in there, and the idea behind this was to share their listings, have them list and communicate with each other, and they're, you know, it's slowly coming together. There are some agents that are consistently posting in there. And at this point, I haven't really pushed myself on it. I'm the administrator of this, and I'm the only lender in the group. And I kind of want to know, I don't know if I should be pushing myself onto all these realtors or start advertising myself, because I don't want to come off looking in a negative way to them. So what I do is I share different posts in there, some about the family. Most of the time I'm just sharing their listings in there, but that's one thing that I'm doing. I am doing the open houses, and I do definitely do the mortgage coach. I think mortgage coach is an absolutely amazing tool, and I love it. And I like the sound of that. The list reports.
Love it. Well, thank you for sharing
So
that.
Those are the things that I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, those are all super smart things. And I do want to qualify something I said earlier, where I said, you know, hey, when you do that list report, you're leading with the strategy. And to Michelle's point, if you got 2 meetings out of 10, lead with do some strategy. Like, hey, there's some reach outs for strategies, but also remember you need to get some meetings on relationships. So I want to qualify. It's not like you should never lead with a strategy. You shouldn't just always lead with strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And then your Facebook group idea. I'm showing on the screen right now this Tuesday's interview with Rick Shear, Andy Tuttle, and we had Kristen Messerly, the founder of the Modern Loan Officer. And the title of it was How to Become the Digital Mayor of Your Local Market. And my advice from that, and again, I think we're all learning social. Like anybody that tells you I'm an expert at Facebook marketing, I don't know. I just don't. I know some really smart people that know more than me, and I'm always learning. But I haven't found that one person that knows everything yet. So I think we're all learning. But you know, I just subscribe to kind of Gary V's advice, which is jab, jab, value, value, value. And when you do ask for business, ask for business. But I recommend that you watch this interview because you know you had two mega producers. And by the way, everybody, listen to this. If you're new to this, Michelle Town, who talked earlier, is a $100 million a year producer. Jen is a mega producer. And Todd used to run one of the biggest teams in the country. I mean, he has run a team that, you know, how many units a year does your team do on average, Todd?
Over 500 for the last few years.
Yeah, so I want to remind everybody, the people that are on this call have run some of the biggest teams in the country. And so you're getting great advice. But listen to this call, because the way Andy Tuttle answers that question around, you know, when do you ask and how do you ask, I haven't heard it said better. It was and it really was one of my favorite calls because all the bantering. It was just one of those calls where we had really good chemistry between all four of us. We had a really good time, and you had some great takeaways. So check that out. It's on the screen right now. And if you were watching this as a video, like if you're watching the video version of this Mastermind, I'll put a link down below. So that's my answer. So we're at about 8 minutes left. I'm going to do rapid fire with the coaches because I don't think we should bring up another topic, but I do think we should set the table for topics for next calls. So first of all, Todd, why don't you go first? Takeaways from today's call. If you do have some topics for next week or the weeks to come, throw them out. And then I think I'm going to do one thing is I'm going to create a poll in our Facebook group with the topics and let you guys as a community vote which one do you want us to do next week. And I'm kind of like, hey, whatever wins the poll will be the next topic, and whatever comes in last will be, you know, 3-4 weeks from now. But Todd, you're up.
Well, no, I love it. I thought it was a great call, and you know, appreciate Eddie, appreciate Maria coming in there. Right, this is a mastermind, guys. So let's all make sure that we jump in and be part of it. Right, ask questions down below. Be part of the Facebook group. I think that this has been a lot of fun, and I think a call like this, you know, it's fun. Dave and I, you know, typically Friday morning, sometimes Thursday afternoons, you know, we're circling, hey, you know, what are we going to connect on? And then, you know, we got a text going with Jen and Michelle, and we're all brainstorming. So we love ideas from all of you. And I think that there was a lot of different nuggets throughout this call. And so I think the whole key right now is to be executing, right? I always close off with, well, what are you going to do now, right? Spend some time, do what Darren would call a jam session as you come out of here and figure out how are you going to start executing, right? Start working on that list and who you're going to go after. And so I would just love to hear from you guys, right? When Dave starts his thread in there on what topics to come up, make sure that you guys are adding value in there. I've got a couple topics written down here, but they're Jen's topics, so I don't want to steal them. So I'll let her go next and talk about what her suggestions were, because she had a couple great ones.
You're funny.
So Jen, any takeaways from today and any topic?
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if you said something, Todd. That's what we're all about, right? Masterminding here. Yeah. So, you know, one of the things that we want to talk about next week is working with with listing agents. That's been something that a lot of people that I've been coaching have been asking about. You know, if the only thing that's out there is listings, then how do we work with them, right? But I think the biggest issue there is holding them at bay. Well, not holding them at bay, but I love when people say, well, I really do just listing. Okay, great. I can't wait, and I want to catch them off guard with that. And so I work with a lot of listing agents for that very reason, and I really want to address that with everyone. And then the other is setting up masterminds. We have a few people in my office that are that have masterminds with realtors and or however you want to call them, right? How many in the group? How often? What if you're new? Do you use, talk to new realtors? If you're experienced, do you just use the people that you already work with, or do you have a mastermind for new people? Sort of what Eddie's trying to do. So I think those two would be really good. As far as today, again, Eddie, I just want to say thank you so much for being vulnerable. I really, really appreciate that. It takes a lot to do that, and it's very complimentary when someone does that, when someone's open to hearing how to better themselves. I just have to stress based on today's meeting is we can't go in with the high level tactics. We're going to have to go in with the person there. And again, Todd, hopefully you can post my that conversation because I don't want to go into that, but that's really how I do it. I mean, virtually every realtor that I meet for the very, very first time, I'm walking away with a referral every single time. So
love it. So by the way, guys, you can see that I am posting this question in our mastermind group right now, and I have put in 3 ideas. One is how to work with listing agents, how to do a mastermind events with realtors, and then I just threw in there because I know it's a big topic, how to get meetings with realtors. Michelle, any debrief from today that you want to make sure we really shine a light on? And do you have any topics for us to consider for next week's call?
I think we're going to have an overflow on this from next week's call. I'd love to give everybody a homework assignment, which is pick your top 3 from what you had today and start executing on them, and then pick a timeline. Again, timelines need to be, for me, I don't judge anything for 3 months. So I might adapt it for 3 months, but I won't check an ROI for 3 months. But just put one foot in front of the other. You will be successful. You will make it through this tough time. Just be consistent. That's it.
What's that say?
Be consistent, yes. And don't go to Universal Studios with 4 teenagers and expect to be home at 10 o'clock.
Hey, who's posting that? Dave,
right.
Is that you?
Yeah. So I just posted.
It says, what were you
what were
you two?
All right.
Hey, listen, there's no such thing as multitasking, and Dave's just trying to multitask.
That's
so
it right there.
that's all right. And so it's a lot of fun. If you guys have any questions that you want to add, throw them in the question bar or add them onto Dave's poll when we get done here. So should be fun. So I'm as we wind down here, I'm going to I'll say my last bit. As always, thank you guys for all being here. It was a blast. Dave, what else do you want to, you just disappeared. What else do you want to add in before we bid everyone farewell? Thank them for showing up here on Good Friday. Wish everyone a happy Easter, a happy Passover, and, appreciate all of the family showing up here on a Friday.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, it's a great call. We didn't quite have over 100 people. We always have over 100 people on this call. I guess my last thoughts are, one, this community, it's only as good as who's in it and who's participating. So, comment, like, share. I had, I'm trying to think who it was. Someone, a couple different people over the past week have gone and invited people from their team to it. So I just want to remind you guys, while this is a private group, you have to be invited from someone who's a member, or, and you need to be approved, like Todd, myself, and a number of people approve folks. You can invite someone. So if you're looking at my group right now, you can add a friend. So feel free to add people. I also do want to say because the group's gotten so big, we've had people that have made posts that I think, or people think, could be recruiting. So if you post any comment or question that would make a loan officer think, oh, should I go to work for a different company or a different business model, just know that we're gonna delete it. If you do it a lot, we're gonna delete it and push you out of the group. Also, there's people that have kind of an agenda, which, by the way, it's not bad. I mean, I have an agenda when I do all this leadership. I want more people to be part of Mortgage Coach. I want them to sign up for Mortgage Coach. I want them to be successful with Mortgage Coach. I have an agenda. But when it becomes apparent that your agenda is bigger than you're asking more than you're giving, or if you're just asking in a way that triggers me, Todd, or one of the other moderators, we're going to delete it. Again, if you're someone that's doing that a lot, we're probably going to private message you and say, hey, what's up? Why don't you reapproach it? But I just wanted to throw out some rules of engagement in the call. But my closing thoughts are just, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the role I have to bring the nation's best loan officers, leaders, and coaches together. And then I'm grateful for everybody that's on this call. And Todd, thank you. This call wouldn't be happening without your leadership. Jen, I know how busy you are and how disciplined you are about your time. So the fact that you continue, we're going on over a year You have made this community a priority. So grateful for that, Jen. Michelle, same to you. I mean, you are one of America's most successful mortgage producers, and that's how you make money. And yet you make time to come into this community and give value. So I'm super grateful for you, Michelle.
I'm grateful for you.
Still here, Michelle?
I was going to say, Dave, we're grateful for you as well. So
yeah, absolutely. You know that.
Yeah. So with that said, we have a weekend where we all should just think about how much we have to be grateful for and focus on that. Let's make this a weekend of just being grateful. And to Todd's point, getting focused on what are we going to do next week to crush it, and then one step after another. So take care, everybody. This call is a wrap. Have a great holiday, whatever that holiday is that you're celebrating over the next couple of days. I'm going to have a fantastic Easter weekend, and take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.